Let me tell you something about being a receptionist, right? One of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to come out of your shell or you're going to come out of your job. Because you cannot be socially awkward for an extended period of time in that job. Hey, what's up? I'm Adam if you're new here, and if you're returning, then you know what's good. Today I want to talk about why I think that what society determines as low-skilled jobs can be just as important, if not more important, than a university degree. And I'm speaking mainly from personal experience here, right? Because I genuinely believe the job that I did that, like I said, low skill in the sense that I didn't necessarily need a qualification for it, I didn't need experience or wealth of experience to do the job I did, which is a receptionist, really set me up and helped me develop skills I really believe have led me to where I am now in terms of my YouTube, in terms of my career. And that's what I want to talk about today, because I think sometimes these types of jobs get a really bad rep, really, and they are fundamental in a lot of people's growth. And today I want to talk about how my job basically set me up for life and what I took away from that job, and how I think that you can extract more value from these jobs with some few tips at the end. Anyway, a little bit of background just so you understand the job I was doing. I was a receptionist at a gym for 2.5 years whilst I was doing my undergraduate degree. And honestly, in terms of life skills, that was more valuable than my degree. And that's not to downplay my degree, because it was amazing. I studied geography and it was really important in other ways, especially in showing my capabilities to employers. But these are the reasons why. I'm going to break it down into 3 categories. The first one is confidence and communication. The second is knowledge and experience. And the third is connections. Okay, so let's start with confidence and communication. When I left sixth form, I don't know what happened to me whilst I was in sixth form, right? But I became so socially awkward, it was crippling. Crippling. And I don't know why it became my identity that, that period when I was like, I'm socially awkward. I don't know why I decided to adopt this, because previously I wasn't that person, but it really crippled me in my ability to communicate effectively. Let me tell you something about being a receptionist, right? One of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to come out of your shell or you're going to come out of your job. Because you cannot be socially awkward for an extended period of time in that job. And so what I'm saying here is that taking on this role forced me to develop my communication skills to a level that I think actually surpasses a lot of people around me. And the reason is because I interacted with a range of people at this position. And even though I'm talking to receptionists at a gym, the same will be true if you work in, say, retail, right? And you work the till somewhere, or you're a waitress, right? You're going to have to communicate. Anywhere there's people, you're going to need to communicate with them as part of your job, if that's the type of job you do, unless you work in the back or something like that, in which case it's slightly different. If you are open to learning and you're open to development, that position there can fundamentally change you as a communicator, right? Because I was at kind of a high-end gym, but it was in like a not so high-end area. So it wasn't in the city, but it was a Virgin Active, but I'm just going to say that. I don't know why, it doesn't really matter. And I met a range of people, and I had to communicate and learn how to communicate with each of these different types of people, with groups, right? Because some people wanted to speak for ages at the front desk, other people didn't want to at all. The communication styles were different. So some people wanted to just tell me stories, some people wanted to hear a lot about what I had to say. And so I learned a lot about listening, but also my own delivery and what I said to people, and how to take social cues. This, I think, perhaps is the most important, because those cues are often more important than what people are actually saying, or they can be just as important, right? Because knowing when someone's shutting down, or when they're opening up, or when you clearly need to deviate from the conversation you're having right now, or go deeper into it, or if someone doesn't want to talk at all, right? And those can be really, really valuable everywhere in life, right? Whether you're and you never know when you're going to come into contact with someone who can open up opportunities for you. So that's why communication is fundamental. People are everything, right? You can have all the degrees, all the things. If you are not good with people, ultimately people make the decision about your life. They make the decision as whether you get the job or not. They make the decision whether they're going to buy the product off of you, buy the service off of you. They make the decision as whether they're going to have a relationship with you, okay? And so those communication skills that I developed there, fundamental, absolutely fundamental. And the confidence, oh my gosh, if you saw me at the beginning when I started that job versus at the end, it's 2 different people. At the beginning, I didn't even want to use the radio. Like, you have to radio around, because I was just so awkward, just so worried about always just making a mistake in a social context. I just didn't want to do things. Like, I had to do a tannoy, where you hear the voice over the in the speakers around the gym. I didn't even want to do that. Like, I didn't want to do these things. By the end of it, I was like, yep. Yo, what's up, everybody? Gym's closing in 30 minutes. No, I wasn't really like that. I really did come out of my shell. And I have to thank both the staff that I worked with and the people that were there, the customers, right? The people that used the gym, because I learned how to work in a social setting in terms of the people, but also in the context of a staff and in a work environment. And I tell you, that is confidence in those and communication. It will take you so far. I promise you, even if you know how to communicate effectively with people, that's why you see some people who don't have degrees, who don't have all of these things. They don't have all of the things that typically would get you to the top, but they have the ability to communicate effectively, and they're confident. And that is why you see some people climb higher than other people with all PhDs, masters, this, that. So the next thing I want to talk about in terms of why this was so important, why this job was fundamental in changing my life, was knowledge and experience. Okay, so let's talk first about the knowledge I gained from staff. I worked in a gym, okay? And I was so open to learning from the people in the gym that I took the opportunity whenever I could. Whenever a PT said, hey, do you want to train with me? I'd be like, yes, please, sure. And I learned so much about fitness and about food from them that has ultimately led not only to my own personal development in fitness and diet and health, but also it's something I've been able to bring here to YouTube. Like, it kicked off that journey for me, and I've shared it with you guys. And so you can see how the knowledge and experience I was able to pick up there has impacted my life so greatly from a job that perhaps would be less valuable or low skill. And these are from people who'd been in the game for years, right? And so I'm learning from people who have a wealth of knowledge. It's like when you read a book, right? You have all the information that person's gathered over time. It's just like when you talk to someone who's been at it for years, like, you're able to pick up so much things that might take you years, you get to learn from them. So there's that. The second element in terms of staff is to do with business. So I'm really, even when you don't think I'm listening, I'm listening. So like in our staff meetings and things, when we're talking about like strategy in terms of the wider company strategy, and maybe decommissioning places, opening up more, whatever the company was doing at the time, the push on customer service, things like that. I learned about business and how business moves and how it tries to draw staff into the journey and things like that. And those are things that I picked up and took notes of that would help me later on in life. But again, it was only because I was open and knew that there was value to be extracted from this position. It's very much a mindset thing. So if you go in there thinking, this job is pointless and whatever, and I'm just here to get in and get out, then you won't be able to extract the value that is there. And then that's also true of, I guess, any situation. If you go in there with a certain mindset, you are kind of bound to that mindset. You're bound in terms of it's restricting you. The second thing was I learned so much from the customers. I used to have the most amazing conversations, and I learned so much about life and so much about business, about experiences, about relationships from that front desk. I cannot explain to you how much I learned, because being open, being friendly, being approachable meant that people liked having conversations with me, so they would tell me things. You know what, when you're a likable person, people will bestow a lot of knowledge on you for free. They want to share because you're a nice person, you're open, and ultimately people want to be listened to. So if they've got stories to tell of their success, they're usually happy to tell you. Or if they've got a life experience where they traveled the world, like I met a lot of people who traveled the world and they inspired me. If you see on my Instagram and stuff like that, I've done quite a lot of traveling, and a lot of that was inspired by those people who would tell me, yeah, I went to Bali, or I went to Vietnam and then Thailand, whatever, or visited all of South America. Like, those stories provide you with inspiration and as well as knowledge, right? And then that led me to be able to go on and have my own experiences based on what I had collected. But it also, like I said, there was things like to do with business. Like the type of people that would come in ranged so much from what you might typically class as a roadman, although there were few of them, or road girl, to people who were like the editors of the biggest magazines in the UK, or CEOs, people who started their own business, people who were bankers, investment bankers, people in tech. There was just such a big range, pharmacists, and so I learned so much from them. to the point that they would like bring me like food. Like, we really developed relationships that it made it such a pleasure to go to work, and did so much for my development. And I guess leading on from that then is the connections that I made. Like, I made a lot of good connections whilst I was there. People who wanted to find out more, you know. He would be like, take my email, take my card. Like, if you're interested in this, I'm doing this. Or would be like, there's this event going on, you should attend it. Like, I know you're interested in this. And that's the thing, when you talk to people and have relationships and build those connections, those connections could be important for life. They may be important just in the moment to help propel you, or they can be lifelong connections, right? Either way, they both have intrinsic value. And again, those all led to me having different experiences and being able to connect with people and ask questions outside of work, that I really believe helped me, again, grow into the person I am. And that can be true of, I'm speaking as a receptionist, but if any job where there are people, ooh. So let's quickly then, now I've explained like why I think that my part-time low-skilled job was as important, if not more important, than my degree. I want to talk about some ways I think you can extract value from your part-time job or low-skilled job, whether it's part-time or full-time or ad hoc, whatever. So the first thing is to have conversation with as many people as you can, but with the genuine intention of listening. That is so powerful, and you will learn. Most of the time I was at that desk, I wasn't actually talking. Funny, I spent the most, wow, I can't even speak now, clearly. I spent the majority of the time listening to these people. And it was so valuable because I actually took a step back and went, it's not about me listening to respond, it's about me listening to genuinely listen and understand and deconstruct. And that's what you need to do, I think, in any position you are, whether you're talking to customers, whether you're talking to other members of staff, your fellow employees. Genuinely listen, and you'll realize that there's so much that these people have to offer. Second is be curious about business. Of course, I've given a lot of my examples in the context of being a receptionist at the gym, but whatever business that you're working for, if you're an employee, you're working for a business, be curious about it. You know, ask questions to management, get involved. Like, I also would ask to do more manager's tasks, not to take on the full burden of being a manager with no manager pay, but like, I wanted to know about what managers were doing, like, you know, and develop some of those skills, talking to people about more complex things, dealing with issues with customers on a higher level and things like that, but also just learning about how the business structure works. So get interested in that. Like, it's all about going into things with a mindset of learning and openness. The third thing is say yes to opportunities, okay? Whether it be training or discounted training opportunities, or, you know, spending some time one-to-one with someone in management, or whether it's, in my case, training with a PT, or whatever it is, right? It could be that you work in a restaurant and that the chef wants to show you something, and so you're like, yeah, sure, like, I'd really love to do that, or ask. But yeah, like, really grab opportunities by both hands is what I'm trying to say in this one. And finally, go into whatever job you're doing with the mindset that you're gonna be the best that you can at that job. And that you're going to extract as much value from it as you possibly can. And I promise you, if you go into situations like this, your whole life changes. But yeah, this is what I wanted to say about this, because I know people are maybe in positions that they didn't think they wanted to be, or maybe you're kind of sick of your part-time job, your low-skilled job, and you're thinking that, why am I here? It's pointless. Think about it. Think about how you can extract value, how you can really go into this with a different mindset when you have your next shift or whatever. That's it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.